to start off first by talking about this phenomena of Internet of Things. We all know, we talked about the fact that there's going to be 200+ billion sensors. And when you really think about it, it's really the Internet of your things, right? So when you're talking to a customer, they have these things in the field. And for the first time now, in a cost-effective way, they can put compute on them and collect data back from them so that you can reason over it. Now, that all sounds great, but for what purpose? The purpose is, of course, business model transformation. Think about what an elevator company now can do when you have the ability to have real-time access to the status of all the elevators in the field that you have and the service contracts, the insurance on those service contracts that you can write. It can be transformative to any customer of ours in terms of the business model. And that is something that now we enable by bringing together Windows embedded solutions, our intelligence system service in Azure, which allows you to collect that data and put it into and process it in real time. And then we have this Azure machine learning service, which is an amazing service, which I think previewed at this conference. And that service allows you now to do advanced predictive analytics. Because we all need these data scientists, but you also want to have the power of what we have when we do speech recognition or voice, or vision, or even Bing, and take all that sophistication for applied ML and make it available for every one of the data scientists that's in your organization so that they can do these advanced predictive analytics. So to show you some of this in action, Steve, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Morning, Satya. So we're going to start inside of ThyssenKrupp's global asset monitoring system. So the dashboard you see here has been built by ThyssenKrupp with their partner CGI. Now, ThyssenKrupp is a global elevator company. They have 1.1 million elevator assets around the world. And what anybody inside of their organization can see from this dashboard is a real-time view of what's going on across that landscape of assets. So this literally is real-time data coming from sensors inside of elevators that's being pulled into the Azure Intelligence System Service and then populated into the dashboard. So we have an orange circle up here, an orange traffic light in the Pacific Northwest. So we're going to drill into this particular one. And you can see as I scope down on the map into this region, the data is changing in real time beneath us. So the alert that we have is right down here in the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. The Virginia Mason Athletic Center, it turns out, is the training facility for the world champion Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks fans? That's always a crowd pleaser. And what you can see on the dashboard now is that we have a view into the schematics of the layout of that building. We have the real-time information of the elevators moving and in action. All of this coming from sensors into the Azure Intelligence System Service. As I scroll down a little further, we can see some more details. So what type of elevator, where the elevator is located. So we have some freight elevators, passenger elevators. The thing I'm really interested in is this predicted health of 70%. And you talked about machine learning. And this is really where we can get to the kind of the gold mine of this data, if you like. So we'll drill into that elevator that we want to take a look at. It's the field access elevator that has a predicted health that we want to take a look at.
This is a solution that CGI built.
Absolutely. So CGI built this in partnership with ThyssenKrupp. Anybody inside of the organization is now starting to get that kind of real data culture that we've talked about, be able to access information in real time. So we can see the type of elevator. This one is a freight elevator. We can see the model. We can also see some of the real-time data around the landing status. So we could say this elevator is being called most frequently from the ground floor, as you might expect, but also real detailed sensor-level details. So what's the average door close time? What's the average door open time? All the types of things that start to move their business from being a reactive maintenance mode into proactive. And that's ultimately where they're trying to drive their business into being much more proactive. The two things I'm really interested in on this particular part of the monitoring system is that predicted health of 70%, and then beneath that, you'll see there's a critical alert that's coming from Azure Machine Learning. Now, the predicted health arises from taking all of the previous data of events and issues that have happened with the elevators and then running a machine learning model so we can start to learn, well, why did that event happen? So we do two things with machine learning. We reason over the data to find out why did something happen in the past, and then we can use that same data to predict, well, when might that happen again in the future? So we'll move over into the Azure Machine Learning workspace, into our machine learning workspace here, and you can see the model that we've run. So we're taking data at the top, in a CSV file, feeding it into something called a multi-class decision jungle. Inside of the machine learning workspace, we've got world-class algorithms, the type of algorithms that are being used inside of Cortana, inside of Bing, so we can start to apply reason and learning on top of this data. And then we train the model and we score the model. Ultimately, what that results in, if we visualize the output of this model, what this is telling us is that they're able to predict by using machine learning, looking at past data, we can predict with 75% accuracy.
And this is breakthrough stuff, because think about it. In fact, the first time I saw this kind of tool was when I was working in Bing engineering, and we needed to drive productivity of our own relevance and data scientists. And so we built all this tooling to do applied machine learning at scale. And the vision that we've had is, how do we take all of that and make it available? Because now data science is not just for the consumer internet companies. Data science and the tooling around it is for every industrial internet application. And we have that unique capability of taking what we learned in a very different segment and applying it now through the partner ecosystem to pretty much every industry vertical with advanced analytical capabilities.
That's right, and where that really pays off for ThyssenKrupp is what you see on the dashboard right now. So at the moment, we have a predictive maintenance warning. We have a schedule of when we're planning to do maintenance on those elevators. So currently planning to do the scheduled maintenance on the 24th of the month, but by taking that machine learning, by doing predictive analytics, we're able to say, actually, we need to send an engineer out 3 days earlier to carry out that maintenance because we can predict with 75% accuracy that an issue is going to arrive. So that's where it really starts to change dramatically ThyssenKrupp's business, moves them into this proactive maintenance mode and out of the reactive maintenance mode.
Great. Now, that gives you a flavor for what kind of an application you can build. For an opportunity like Internet of Things, because I think that this is one of those opportunities over the next 10 years will play out in a pretty big way. You can think of this as the new class of tier 1 applications that are going to be born in the cloud, where people are going to rendezvous their data from their field devices, reason over it, and the business models that you can have, those models that got created, you now have a continuous model of upgrading and improving that model. So the business model-wise, you're just not just building a project and leaving. Your project is a project that continuously drives business transformation.